The last leaf falls. You ever wonder what it would feel like to know exactly when you're going to die? Not in a vague fortune cookie kind of way. I mean a date, a time, a sign. That's what happened to me. And it started with a leaf. Yeah, just one stupid, brittle leaf on an old tree behind a rundown boarding house in Castle Rock, Maine. Our story starts simple. I was just an ordinary guy back then. Name's Eddie Marston. 35, divorced, full-time custodian, part-time dreamer. I was renting a room in this creaky Victorian-style house on Maple Lane. Cheap rent, peeling wallpaper, the usual ghosts in the walls kind of place. Now here's the thing. Out back, there's this huge old oak tree, towering, ancient. Locals call it the widow tree. Why? Because every fall it drops its leaves one by one, and the last person who's still living in the house when the final leaf falls dies. Yeah, that's the rumor. I thought it was just small-town creepypasta. Urban legend stuff. Until the year I moved in. It was early October when I first saw the tree for real, tall as a cathedral, branches like broken ribs clawing the sky. I watched a single leaf fall that morning, golden and crisp, spiraling down through the mist. Mrs. Kesselman, the old lady who lived in the upstairs room, she died that night. Heart attack, they said. Just one of those things. Except it wasn't. Not really. Because when the second leaf fell 2 days later, so did someone else. And that's when I started counting. One leaf, one life, over and over again, till only one leaf and one person remained. Me. It was October 1st when I first noticed the other tenants getting jumpy. Maggie from 3A packed up in the middle of the night, left her cat, left her dishes in the sink. Just gone. She told me, eyes wide like saucers, that she saw a shadow standing under the tree, whispering her name in a voice that sounded like wind dragging nails across a coffin lid. She didn't even take her coat. Then there was Mr. Latch, old Army vet, tough as rusted nails and twice as loud. He started getting quiet, said he looked out his window and saw his own funeral. Coffin, flowers, folded flag, the whole damn ceremony. After that, he stopped eating, stopped talking, just sat in his recliner watching the tree like it was counting him instead of the other way around. By Halloween, 5 leaves were left. Only 3 tenants remained. Me, Dolores Fitch from the basement, a retired piano teacher who hadn't left the house since '98, and Samuel Krenz, a college dropout with a Jesus beard and more tattoos than common sense. That's when the dreams started. Twisted, syrup-thick nightmares that clung to me like smoke. In them, I was rooted in the ground, bark peeling from my skin. I could feel the leaves growing in my lungs, crackling when I breathed. Couldn't scream, couldn't move. And above me, always, those branches, watching. Every night, I'd hear scratching on my window, not like claws, like fingers, long and patient. And every morning, I'd look out, heart in my throat, and the tree would be missing another leaf. And every time someone left or someone died. Dolores was next. They found her in the basement, halfway through teaching a song to no one, hands still resting on the keys, a single dried oak leaf on the piano bench beside her. Then Samuel went off the rails, started screaming at the tree in the middle of the night, called it a parasite, said it was feeding off the fear. Last thing I saw of him was a red backpack bouncing down the sidewalk, gone. Now it was just me, and one damn leaf. On November 5th, it was just me and Carol. Carol, the landlady's niece, tall, quiet, always wearing gloves, said she was just helping out while her aunt recovered from hip surgery, though I never once saw her visit the hospital. She didn't flinch when the tree groaned at night, didn't blink when the wind scratched its fingers down the siding. She just smiled that cold, smooth smile and say, "It only takes you if you give it permission." And then, the second to last leaf fell. I saw it with my own eyes that morning, spinning down like a coin tossed by a cruel god. That night, just past midnight, Carol came to my door. She didn't knock. She let herself in. Her hair was damp with fog. There was a knife in her hand, and her other hand held an old photograph, faded, curled at the edges. A girl, younger Carol, standing under the tree, smiling wide, and next to her a woman with a face full of storm clouds, her grandmother. Carol sat across from me, placed the knife on the table like it was just another piece of silverware. Then she told me the story, said the legend was real, said her grandmother made the deal back in 1948 during the polio years, a soul for every fall. In return, the house would stand, the family would endure, protection, longevity, blood-fed roots, and the tree, it remembered. Only the last one, she said. It has to be the last one left. The final ember, the soul the season burns out. I stared at her. I wanted to call her crazy, but the deaths, the dreams, the leaves, they weren't random, they were ritual. Carol stood up, picked up the knife again, didn't threaten me, didn't raise her voice. She just said, "You're the last one now, Eddie. The house chose you. You don't have to run, you just have to surrender." And in that moment, I realized something. I had a choice. Run, fight, or be devoured like all the rest. The tree was watching. The last leaf trembled, and I grabbed the knife. And I ran. Didn't think, didn't plan, just bolted. Through the hall, down the stairs, my footsteps echoing like gunshots in an empty church. But every door I touched, locked. Chains I'd never seen before bolted across the frames like they'd grown there overnight. Windows, bricked in from the inside. Stone cold, seamless. Like the house had sealed itself shut the moment Carol spoke the truth. And the tree's shadow, it wasn't outside anymore. It moved along the walls. Long, jagged arms slithering down corridors, crawling over furniture, reaching. Room by room, it stalked me, never rushing, just waiting. The house had become a throat, and I was halfway swallowed. I tried to hide, in the pantry, behind the boiler, under the floorboards, but it didn't matter. Everywhere I went, the air tasted like soil, like rot, like the tree was already inside me. Then I remembered what Carol said. It only takes you if you give it permission. And somewhere deep in the back of my skull, that meant something. I stopped running, stopped breathing like a hunted animal. And I made a choice. I went up, to the attic, dust-thick air, wooden beams like ribs. And at the far end, a broken window opened toward the backyard. The last leaf was still clinging there, just barely, on the end of a spindly, blackened branch. It shivered when it saw me. I didn't wait. I reached out, grabbed it. It was warm, pulsing, like it had a heartbeat. Felt like skin, not bark. And then I yanked it free. The tree screamed, a low, bone-deep groan that shook the whole damn house. I stumbled back, leaf in hand, ran down to the furnace in the basement. That old iron beast that hadn't lit in years. And somehow it was waiting. Hot, glowing, open like a mouth. I threw the leaf in, watched it curl, blacken, and vanish in a burst of red. Then I screamed, loud enough for every ghost in the house to hear. "You don't get me, not tonight." And for a second, just a second, the shadows paused, like the tree was listening, considering. Then everything went quiet. The tree screamed. Yeah, you read that right. It screamed. A low, ancient howl that didn't come from branches or bark, but from somewhere under the ground, like the roots were choking on something they hadn't expected. Resistance. Its bark split open like a mouth. Sap, black and steaming, poured out like blood from a wound. Ashes fell from the branches in slow spirals, coating the backyard like snow. And then silence. Not just quiet, I mean a void. Like the house had been holding its breath for 100 years, and finally exhaled. Carol? Gone. Her room was empty. No clothes, no scent, no sign she'd ever lived there at all. The cops chalked it up to abandonment. Another ghost story from Castle Rock. They found only one thing out of place, the charred remains of a single leaf in the old basement furnace. I didn't stick around, packed my bags, left Maple Lane behind like it had never been home. But here's the thing about survival. It doesn't come clean. You don't win. You endure. I live in a new place now. Concrete. No trees for miles, but every fall, every goddamn fall, I find myself looking out the window, watching the wind. And if I see a tree lose a leaf, my heart skips just for a second. Because sometimes when the breeze turns sharp and cold, when the sunlight hits just wrong through the glass, I swear I hear it again, whispering, soft, hungry, patient, like something's still waiting for me to come home. And I know, one day, the last leaf will fall again. If you enjoyed this story, do me a favor, like this video. It helps the channel grow and keeps these stories reaching more of you out there. Subscribe for daily content. And hey, if you know someone who'd enjoy a chill crawling up their spine, share this with them. Thanks for listening and thanks for watching. There's another story waiting for you right on your screen. Go check it out, and I'll see you back here tomorrow. Harvest of teeth. You ever lose a tooth as a kid? You know how you'd wake up the next morning and find a shiny quarter under your pillow? Well, what if I told you the tooth fairy doesn't pay for your teeth? She collects them. Yeah, that's the hook. And once I tell you what happened in Derry, Maine, you'll never look at a baby tooth the same way again. Our story starts with a guy named Eddie Klein. Ordinary, early 30s, single, teaches third grade, lives in a duplex on Maple Street, not far from where he grew up. The kind of man who drinks peppermint tea before bed and alphabetizes his spice rack. But Eddie's got a secret. He has a crippling fear of dentists. Not the kind you laugh about. The real deal. Cold sweats, panic attacks, ever since his own teeth were pulled as a kid by a man who wasn't exactly a dentist. Anyway, life in Derry moves slow. Rainy autumns, football on Fridays, and stories that nobody tells after dark. But lately, something's off. Kids in Eddie's class, perfect little smiles, are starting to lose all their teeth. Not just one or two. All of them. Overnight, and worse, they're smiling about it. Their mouths are red and raw like open flower beds. No blood, no pain, just little voices chirping. The tooth lady came like it's the most natural thing in the world. At first, Eddie thought maybe it was a game. Kids can be weird. But it wasn't just one or two kids, it was 7, then 10, then 15. And the principal told him to stop asking questions. Just teach. But you can't ignore something like that forever. Not when the children are starting to hum the same tune under their breath. Not when the janitor finds tiny pearl-white teeth in the school's furnace ash. Eddie doesn't know it yet, but something very old is waking up in Derry, and it wants its harvest. At first, Eddie chalks it up to coincidence. Maybe a new candy trend? Bad water? Something in the Halloween air? Kids lose teeth. That's normal, right? But then he visits Maxie. Maxie with the thick glasses and dinosaur backpack who always stayed after class to help clean the whiteboard. Maxie now sits on the living room carpet with his mouth wide open like a jack-o'-lantern. Not a single tooth left, not even the roots. Just smooth, glistening gums like wet clay. His mom serves Eddie tea and talks about how fast kids grow up, how Maxie's not in pain, how he even asks for soft foods. But Maxie leans in when she steps out, close, real close, and whispers, "She's coming for yours next, Mr. Klein." That night, Eddie tosses and turns, sweating under his flannel sheets, and when he wakes, he feels it, a lump beneath his pillow. Hand trembling, he lifts it. Not a coin, a tooth, small, yellowing, old, not his. He hasn't even touched his own mouth yet when the dreams begin. Each night, she comes closer, a pale woman, tall and sharp-edged, fingers like knitting needles, hair like old cobwebs, and that mouth, far too wide, rows of gleaming white teeth stretching across a face that doesn't blink. She whispers in a voice that hums like a drill, "I harvest what you don't want, but you all owed me first." Eddie wakes screaming, hand to his jaw. The gum line where his back molar used to be, slick and empty. No blood, just absence. Something is taking him apart, slowly, lovingly. He digs, pulls old files from school storage, makes up reasons to visit kids' homes, goes to the Derry Historical Society, spends long hours scanning yellowed microfiche under flickering lights. Then he finds it. 1911. A black and white photo. A woman in a nurse's uniform towering over a class of dead-eyed children. No eyes of her own. Just teeth. So many teeth. A shark's grin. Mother Molars, the caption reads. A wartime caretaker. A collector. Children who failed to grow right were given to her. The story goes she was buried alive in the woods outside Derry. But bones don't stay buried in this town. Especially not the ones with perfect smiles. And as Eddie stands in his bathroom mirror shaking, he watches another tooth drop into the sink. No pain, just a soft clink, like something inside is answering her call. The wind claws at the windows like it wants in. The trees outside creak and moan like old bones. And inside his duplex on Maple Street, Eddie Klein is shaking like a boy again. He's boarded up the windows, drawn circles of salt around the doors, lit every candle he owns, dozens of tiny flames dancing like nervous eyes. And on the kitchen table, a rusted pair of pliers, a shot glass of bourbon, and the last molar in his skull, swollen and throbbing like it knows what's coming. The journal he found, hidden in the sealed archives of the Derry Dental Academy, was clear. Offer a crown of your own free will, or she will take the root. So Eddie drinks and prays and screams as he yanks the molar out, roots and all, the pain spiking through his jaw like white lightning. The tooth clatters into the metal bowl with a ping. Blood runs down his chin. He gasps, eyes wide, waiting. Then she steps into the room. No thunderclap, no scream, just silence. One moment the space is empty, the next she's there, tall as the ceiling, skin the color of candle wax. Her mouth spreads open, row after row of tiny childlike teeth, Not just in her gums, but beneath her cheeks, lining her throat, crawling across her neck like pearls sewn into flesh. She smiles, not warmly, not cruelly, just hungry. Eddie stumbles forward, blood dripping onto the hardwood. He holds out the molar with a shaking hand. "I paid," he says. "You're done." Her eyes, wet, pupilless stones, glint in the candlelight, and she laughs, a soft, chattering sound like 100 teeth clicking together. "You think this is about your teeth?" Her voice echoes, not in the air, but in his skull. "It was never about you, Edward. It was about what you taught them." Memories flood in unbidden, telling his class to brush twice a day, to floss, to rinse, to protect their teeth, telling them to keep what was hers. "You broke the pact," she hisses, and the room begins to decay. Walls curl and rot like paper in flames. The air thickens, cold, sweet, rotting. Eddie falls to his knees as his candles flicker out, one by one. The next morning, the sirens came wailing down Maple Street. Neighbors had seen the smoke, thin gray tendrils rising from the roof, curling like fingers through the morning fog. Firefighters forced the door open, found the candles melted to puddles, ash on the walls, burned salt rings on the floor, and blood. So much blood. In the sink, on the kitchen tiles, spattered across the table like something had been torn out or in. But no body, just a faint smell of clove oil and something sweet and rotting. On the chalkboard mounted by the stairs, written in perfect cursive, each letter sharp and lovely like a carving knife. "You. Broke. Contract." That was all. No Eddie. No sign of where he'd gone. No broken window. No trace of a struggle, except for the blood and the bowl. Still sitting in the center of the table, holding a single molar. His. News traveled fast. Kids whispered in the hallways. Parents pulled their children from Derry Elementary. The principal, tight-lipped, pale, stood at a podium and read a statement that said everything and nothing at all. By Thanksgiving, the story was off the air. Just another unsolved disappearance in a town that's had more than its share. But the town remembered. They always do. And slowly, quietly, Derry's oldest habits crept back in. On Sycamore Street, someone left a baby tooth on a paper napkin beneath their window. 2 houses down, a mother placed a silver crown in a velvet box on her porch. By the time winter came, nearly every windowsill in town had some small offering, a molar, an incisor, a canine nestled in a teacup. Even the mayor's office had a drawer full of polished enamel, just in case. No one spoke of her. No one dared to say the name. But if you walk through Derry at night, you might hear the hum of a lullaby in a voice that doesn't breathe. And if you look into the woods near the old school, where the ground bulges like it's hiding something, you'll find footprints, long, deep, too narrow to be human. And every once in a while, a tooth, perfect, white, waiting. They never found Eddie Klein. Not a trace, no trail, no answers. Just a name whispered like a warning among the teachers who stayed behind, and a story passed from one child to the next, never written down, always just known. They say he went mad. Others say he was taken. But the truth is harder to swallow. Because some nights, if you walk past the old school building, you might see a light flickering behind the windows, long since boarded up. A silhouette pacing between the desks. Sometimes it looks like a man. Sometimes it doesn't. The contract is still in place, you see. It never ended. Eddie tried to fight her, but he broke the rules, interfered, and the harvest continued. Derry adapted, as it always has. Now children are taught different lessons, not from textbooks, not from teachers, but from parents late at night whispering by lamplight. Don't lie about your teeth. Leave them out when they fall. And never, ever throw them away. Because Mother Molars remembers. She counts them. And when something goes missing, she comes to collect what was promised. No one speaks of Eddie anymore. Not aloud. But every once in a while, a kid will come home from school and mention a new substitute. A quiet man with kind eyes who smells like peppermint and who smiles just a little too wide. They say if you wake up and there's a coin under your pillow, be grateful. Because if there's nothing there, just blood and an empty socket, well, she's already marked you, and no one escapes. The Harvest of Teeth. Thanks for watching Harvest of Teeth. If you enjoyed the story, give it a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow and brings more eerie tales your way. Subscribe for daily chilling content, and hey, if someone you know still puts their teeth under their pillow, maybe share this video with them. They'll thank you. Probably. There's another video recommended on your screen right now. Go give it a watch if you're craving more darkness. This is your channel name, signing off, and I'll see you back here tomorrow. Pleasant dreams. Room for one more. I thought I was dreaming. That made the most sense at the time. The lighting in the garage, dim, flickering, half-dead fluorescents buzzing like insects, played tricks. Shadows crawled where they shouldn't. The cold bit at my fingers through my gloves. My breath fogged the air in little ghosts. Still, I looked away, rubbed my eyes, took a sip of the cheap gas station coffee I always grab on the walk-in. But when I looked back, he was gone. I told myself it was nothing, just a trick of the light. Lack of sleep, the usual mental gymnastics we do to keep the seams of reality sewn up nice and tight. But that day, that was just the beginning. That night, I dreamed I was in the garage again. Only this time, it wasn't empty. The ramps went on forever, curling upward and downward like a spiral staircase drawn by a madman. Cars sat abandoned, covered in thick dust, their engines ticking like they'd just stopped, like they'd never stopped. And then I heard it. Footsteps, echoing, slow, measured. He was there again, closer now. I couldn't see his face, but I could feel his eyes, cold, probing, like scalpels dragging over skin. He whispered something I couldn't understand, a foreign tongue, or maybe no tongue at all. And just before I woke up, he reached into the darkness behind him and held out a hand. A gesture, inviting. Room for one more, he said. It was so clear I sat bolt upright in bed, heart thudding, sheets soaked through with sweat. I tried to laugh it off. Just a dream, just nerves. But the next morning, when I got to work, that same man was waiting at the entrance. And this time he smiled. I filed a report, told the cops everything. They shrugged, said Jenna probably took off, maybe skipped town, maybe didn't want to be found. People go missing all the time, they said. But I knew Jenna. She was sharp, steady. She didn't just vanish, and she sure as hell wouldn't leave her badge behind. The guy in the suit, he was tied to this. I felt it deep down in the part of your gut that knows when something's wrong, even if your brain hasn't caught up yet. I started checking the security footage, poured over hours of tapes, eyes burning from the glow of the monitors, and there it was. At 3:03 a.m., every night the cameras would cut out, just for 10 seconds. Black screen, static hiss, then snap back on like nothing happened. But one night, I caught a glimpse. Right before the feed went dark, I saw the man, standing in the garage, not just watching anymore, waiting, arms out, like he was offering something, or inviting someone in. And behind him, a door. Not a normal door, no hinges, no handle, just this jagged slit of darkness, tall and narrow, floating in midair. I tried to freeze the frame, zoom in, enhance like they do in those cheesy cop shows. But the closer I looked, the more wrong it got. The pixels didn't distort, they screamed. Colors bled where they shouldn't, shapes twisted. The more I stared, the more it felt like the thing on the screen was staring back. Then my nose started to bleed. That's when I shut it off. But I couldn't stop thinking about that door, or the voice from my dream. Room for one more. What the hell did it mean? I started seeing it everywhere. Scrawled on bathroom stalls, etched into frost on car windows, blinking on dead monitors. It followed me. Worse, it started calling to me, and part of me wanted to answer. I stumbled back, heart jackhammering in my chest. The lights overhead sputtered once, twice, then exploded in a rain of sparks. Boom, total blackout. Just me and the sound of that elevator fading into silence. And then something else. Whispers. Hundreds of them. Maybe thousands all around me, under my skin, inside my skull. Chanting that same phrase like a lullaby from hell. Room for one more. Room for one more. Room for one more. I couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. My knees buckled and I hit the concrete hard, cheek pressed to the oil-stained floor. Then the smell hit me. Rot, burnt hair, copper and mold. The scent of something ancient and hungry. I looked up. He was standing right over me. But now, he wasn't wearing the suit. His skin, if you could call it that, was stretched too thin, slick and gray like meat left out too long. His eyes were pits, no color, no light, just depthless holes swallowing everything they touched. And behind him, the door, the same one from the tape, that impossible vertical gash in reality, pulsing like a heartbeat, like it knew me. It whispered too, not with words, but with promises, peace, escape, sleep, the kind of sleep that tastes like forgetting. I reached for it. My fingers brushed the edge of that black seam and I felt nothing. Not cold, not heat, not air, just absence. And in that second, I understood. It wasn't a place, it was an ending. For me, for everyone who'd gone before. That elevator wasn't taking people anywhere. It was unmaking them, swallowing what was left, one by one. I yanked my hand back. "No," I whispered, "not yet." He didn't stop me, just tilted his head, curious, like I was the first rat to ignore the cheese. Then slowly, he stepped backward into the dark. The door closed without a sound, and he was gone. I've moved 5 times since then, changed my name, burned every uniform, every pay stub, anything that tied me to that garage in Derry. But no matter where I go, it follows. Not always loud, not always clear. Sometimes it's a reflection in a window, a pale figure in a charcoal suit, standing just out of reach. Sometimes it's a dream, one I can't wake from, where the elevator opens and he's waiting again. Sometimes it's just a flicker in my peripheral vision, a shadow that doesn't belong. I don't sleep much these days. I keep the lights on, keep moving, keep busy, but it's wearing me down. I've tried talking to people about it, therapists, priests, even a paranormal investigator I found online. They all said the same thing in their own way. Sounds like guilt, sounds like trauma, sounds like something you created. Maybe they're right, but how do you explain the files wiped from existence? The faces forgotten, the names erased like chalk in rain? I tracked down the nurse who disappeared, the one from level 3. Her sister said she left for work one day and never came back. No missing persons report, no investigation, just gone. Like the city swallowed her, like he did. And me? I'm not the same. It's like that door left something in me, a seed. I feel it sometimes, pulsing in my chest like a second heart, a weight behind my eyes. And now, people have started disappearing again. At my new job, a hospital loading dock in Bangor, security guards, a janitor, a delivery guy, gone without a trace. And 2 nights ago, I got a voicemail, 6 words. You already know what they were. He says there's room for one more. I deleted it, but it didn't matter. I saw him again, just outside the hospital freight elevator. Same crooked smile, same stillness. I think he's waiting for me to say yes. So I've made peace with it, in the way a man makes peace with a storm he knows is coming. I sleep with one eye open, I carry salt in my pocket, and a rosary I don't believe in around my wrist. I don't go near elevators anymore. Not the old ones, not the freight ones, not even the kind with music, but deep down I know it's only buying time, because he's patient, and I've changed. I used to be just a guy doing his job, scanning plates, drinking bad coffee, clocking in and out like life was something you could time on a punch card. Now I listen to the static between phone rings, to the silence between thoughts, because sometimes in those spaces, I hear them, the ones who said yes. I hear Jenna, I hear the nurse, I hear that homeless man by the elevators humming low lullabies in the background of my dreams. They're still there, just farther away now. They made their choice, and maybe one day I will too. Because here's the truth I never wanted to admit, not even to myself. That night in the garage, when I slammed the elevator door shut, I wasn't saying no, I was saying not yet. And he knew it. That smile wasn't disappointment, it was certainty. Like a waiter closing the check and saying, "I'll be back when you're ready." Because the door doesn't close forever. It waits, and it always finds you again. So if you're ever standing alone in a parking garage or waiting for an elevator long past midnight, and you feel that chill down your spine, like something just stepped into the room and didn't make a sound, don't turn around, don't answer, because he's already there, smiling, holding the door open, and whispering, "Room for one more." If this story made your skin crawl, even just a little, give the video a like. It helps keep the channel growing and gets these tales to more horror lovers like you. Subscribe for daily stories that will keep you looking over your shoulder, and share this one with someone who never takes the stairs. Thanks for watching and listening. There's another video waiting for you right now on screen. I think you'll like where it leads. And I'll see you back here tomorrow, unless you get in the elevator.